What's up, bro?
Man, I couldn't tell if we were still muted or not.
Good to go.
I feel like you do that. That's probably the best part of your day, huh? When we're about to start a podcast, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna mute you for the intro music, and you're like, oh hell yeah, let me ride this out.
It is nice.
I felt like I was muted for a while. I was like, man,
bit of power I get.
Am I
in the day,
talking too much? Eli just leaves me here. Like, fucking sun goes down. Still here.
Will just left on mute. That's right.
What's up, dude? Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday, bro.
Happy Friday, everyone.
We got 2 in a row this week. Well, no, 2 in 2 weeks. Yeah,
two and two.
Two podcasts done.
Yeah, so far so good, man.
Back on track in the new spot, man. Getting back in the groove.
Yeah, and just being a little bit more deliberate with maybe our message and what we want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes maybe there's like 2 or 3 topics in one. Sometimes that can be hard to like, as people are listening to it. I don't think we rate the 3-hour podcast.
It's good though. I think people like it.
I like them. Yeah, I like them. You can always go back to it and whatnot. But today's a fun one, man. That's not true. I always say, hey, today's a fun one. Like, I don't even know what the
How about
fuck
we have
that
fun
means.
doing it?
Fun is subjective if you like this. Something I've been thinking on for a little bit and just trying to frame up how I want to say it. But, like when you're building your business or, man, just we'll keep it to business.
Mm-hmm.
It'll bleed into it also bleeds into relationships. But like when people ask for advice or go to conventions or go to somebody's like private group or something to like seek like betterment. Like I think the framework, we'll get the title later. It'll be on the post.
Sure.
I think adopting a framework to success is good. Like ClickFunnels. Okay. That's a framework. Mm-hmm. Correct? Yep. Or hey, here's how to do Facebook ads. Here's how to, here's how to market yourself on social media. Here's how to do Google AdWords. Here, So I do appreciate framework to success and people that have maybe gone before you or are in the same lane as you but further along and but being a carbon copy of that person, super common.
Yeah, like attempting to be a carbon copy, just taking what you see and just duplicating it.
Yeah, even down to like the person's characteristics.
Yeah.
So even like adopting their body language, their beliefs, their what they speak to, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I guess an example that just jumped in my mind, tell me if this is, kind of what you're going for. I know it can be used in a lot of different contexts. But for example, let's say they're trying to break into public speaking or something and they show up on stage and they're wearing a hoodie and they're cussing a lot and they're just like forcing it. And you're like, oh, I see what you're doing here.
Yeah.
Something like that. If they're trying to like just be like the next Gary Vee and they're quite literally trying to be Gary Vee.
Yeah, man. That's like that's like the obvious one that like a lot of people can probably understand. But even down to like, let's use us. Let's use me. Let's punish me. I gotta be me. Right? So like as long as I can remember, I would talk trash. Why are you laughing?
It's funny. As long as I can remember. As long as, I just picture little 3-year-old Will just talking shit.
Well, not like in a blatant way, but like, or even even down to like Little League baseball. When I was learning how to throw different pitches, like I remember making eye contact with batters, and I could tell it bothered him, but it didn't bother me.
Yep.
And cool. So the fact that like it bothered him was like cool. And then this sounds super pedestrian, but it worked. I saw them like, I would like look at them. It'd throw them off a bit.
Yeah.
And then I would, even if I'm throwing a fastball, I would like move the ball in the glove a little bit. Like I'm grabbing a different grip on the ball.
Yep.
And then they'd be thinking like, oh, a curveball or change ball's coming. Nah, bitch, fastball. Pew, right? Like, that was in my mind. A couple guys still hit some bombs on me, so they're probably thinking like that guy's dumb. I don't know, but like it carried into like high school and then collegiate, a little bit of professional level. Like just being conscious of like what I thought someone's mindset was. Like just seeing the game bigger than like the next pitch, but like people's behaviors. how that, playing basketball in the street growing up, like there's just some there, and I could be wrong. So I'm going to you can interject if you feel, you probably will feel. I very rarely remember starting the talk part of that.
Okay.
But I think I give off like body language or demeanor that instigates or invites someone to say something.
Right.
And then once they do, I don't necessarily I'm not like a yeller or a screamer or like a fuck you. Like I'm not that type of like trash talk, but like I remember I was working with my buddy, great guy, Rob. Him and I were police partners. He was in the Marine Corps he went in the Marine Corps just before me, and then I ended up doing more time overall. Because I think he was 4 or 6 years, and I was like 8. But he went in before me, and then got out before me. But then we ended up, like his mom is friends with my mom. They've been friends for like 30 years. But I didn't quite know him overly well. But so long story short, I come back from the Marine Corps and some government work, and I'm coming back to Colorado, and I've put myself into the process for the police academy. Well, Rob decided to go to school to be a pilot, right? So he was even though he got out before me, and he was here in Colorado, he went to college and stuff, and to become a pilot and waste his time and not be a pilot now. So long story short, he was doing that. So even though he was home sooner, he was doing other stuff. So we ended up going into the police academy at the same time.
Okay.
And he actually got me a job with a defense contractor. So him and I were working together. And man, just the trash talk started there. As far as he would talk about shooting or how to, shoot. And I'm like, nah, man, it ain't like that. And then it would test him. And so long story short, it would come into the police academy.
Okay.
Now we're on the shooting range and we're shooting. They time us, and we're shooting. There's a couple pieces that are decently difficult leveled, especially for people that are novice. Rob's not novice at shooting. Rob's actually very proud of his shooting because he cowboy shoots. He's been shooting since a kid, and that wasn't me. Mm-hmm. His dad's a detective for the department that we're going into, and he's a distinguished shooter for that department. So home field advantage, I guess.
He's got a lot to live up to. Yep.
But I'm painting this picture because there'll be more stories that come from this. I hope Rob listens. I'll email this podcast. But I know when someone's looking at my targets, and I know when we're doing something that's a decent level of difficulty when it comes to shooting, and I know when not only was I faster than you, my group is tighter than you. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't trash talk, but I'd catch them looking at my target, for example, and I'd say something like, "Isn't that something?"
Yeah.
Smile.
Yep.
That is such a fucking bomb to drop. Uh-huh. And it goes a little bit more, and then now I get verbal. Yep. Now I start talking. But I'm not out of my game though.
Right.
You're out of yours because you're not that. You're not the seed planter kind of guy. And I remember he told me we were going for in service one time. Oh, digressing. Yes, I was high shooter out of the academy. Expected, mildly interesting. It was expected. We go to an in-service one, and his dad's coming. So in-service is when you got to qual 4 times a year to just keep your shooting, so they can say that you won't shoot someone who should not be shot.
Right.
And I remember him coming back to the trash because I was we were going on the same day, and I was like, man, we're going on the same day. Hey, that'll be cool, but kind of tired of beating you, dude. That's me in the cop car next to him.
Yeah.
Man, I just all right, this because I do this to you. I'll start talking to get you to listen. So we're going to go to in-service and hey, cool, we got in-service next Tuesday. Oh man. Oh, you don't want to go? Nah, dude, I'm just tired. We go and it's all day and so I get tired. My brain gets numb, dude, because I've beat your ass so many times. I can't even, I'm not even excited. But see how the first part of that sentence gets you to listen to me? Yeah. And then you regret ever listening to me.
As soon as I hear that tone come out, I'm like, oh God, here it comes.
Well, he was
coming.
He goes, well, my dad's going to be there, so guess you're going to have your hands full. And I said, man, I'm so excited to take both Fowlers out in one day. That's got to be some Jesse James shit.
Yep.
We're shooting for time and on steel. And this is gonna be a real hoot.
You're I'm actually more excited now.
And you know what I did?
Beat him.
I fucking stole him.
Sure.
I fucking smoked him.
Yep.
But that's so. What, Will? Why are you gloating? Why are you get? True. This is like a little bit of a non-humble brag. But that's me. Mm-hmm. Just like, man, even the Marine Corps. Did I remember showing up for like op orders, or if we had like one time we had to go somewhere. And this is maybe where I got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder from one of my old commanders. Like we got an alert. We were going to be getting in a plane and going overnight. Like, not even sure if I can talk about that mission. Not that it was that crazy. It's just that it's within a top secret category. Get a hey, we got to go right now. Mm-hmm. Cool. So we're gonna go get briefed for a minute. Then you'll go grab your shit. Then you'll get out of there. And I remember just being shirtless with someone else's sandals on because I don't wear sandals. And I remember like one of our commanders like just it was just like it's not that it's not okay like because it's the middle of the night and whatnot, but like I remember just kind of looking at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Like, and he's just like
sandals, no shirt.
He's like, good thing you're good at what you do, huh? just doing cowboy shit, just in that, and like. Yep. I remember him kind of phrasing it a certain way, and I was like, yeah, cowboy shit, man. Like, I thought that was kind of cool. But I think I have the personality of, like, being a gentleman and being very caring. And, like, it's all love. It's never to hurt anyone. But, like, yeah, man, I have a chip on my shoulder with my ability in some things. And I also think that if you've actually been a practitioner in those theaters, you have to have a certain level of chip on your shoulder to have the confidence to execute.
Yeah.
Bro. And you've also got to have a strong enough backbone that if, like the whole last shot thing. Mm-hmm. Hey, if you want all the credit to, when you think about taking the last shot at the end of the game to make it, like, well, what happens when you don't make it? Because you might miss it more than you make it. Yep. Can you shoulder that kind of thing?
Right.
But bleeding into like business, dude, I want to fuck everybody up. Mm-hmm. And I like trash talking a little bit here and there, like within Rome or like when we're out with our buddies, dude. I've pissed people off in cornhole.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And all jokes aside, this is like I don't say I'm not proud of it, but I got under your skin.
Yeah.
Okay, it ends up causing like a problem. But like, man, hey, I saw that. I saw you break.
Yep.
I see that. Like you just got emotional. I got you. And like now you're over here being weird at me, and then we end up butting heads, but and I got you to come over here. I got you to like have your line crossed before my line crossed.
Fucking cornhole.
While I'm still banging shots in cornhole. It doesn't fuck up my game.
Yep.
It's just me.
Yep.
Okay, digressing. Even in like taking this into business and whatever it may be. I've adopted framework of people that are successful and they've had solicited advice for us, whatever it may be, but like I can't then adopt their demeanor and not have my characteristics, not bust balls, not have a chip on my shoulder, not be, uber competitive, even to a point that some might consider not productive, because it is productive for me. Like whatever is in my mind, like I'm fully aware of where my mind is at when it's certain places, and I don't want to be Ben Newman. I don't want to be Andy Frisella. I don't want to be, Brian Shantosh. I don't want to be Eli Schmidt. I don't want to be Gary Vaynerchuk. Like I want to adopt frameworks and piece of successes, but like I got to be me. Like, dude, so going back to pitching, part of my success at being a pitcher was the fact that I would throw 4 curveballs in a row. And like, if you know anything about baseball, pitchers are like emotionless and like you go, like per algorithm, right? Like, hey, okay, it's 2 balls, 1 strike. I should be throwing this pitch at this here, Yeah. Man, dude, I'd be smirking. You miss my curveball and I'd smirk at you.
Yep.
While you're batting, I was interacting with you. Pitchers don't, well, not all pitchers. Some pitchers do. It was just like, it wasn't like an acceptable behavior yet. That allowed me to be successful, and it never got me out of my game. Bringing it into business, like it's the same thing, like we still have to be who we are, and like, so I'm on my Instagram today and there's a couple comments on that I wrote statements about your circle and are you a value add, and like everybody's so like protect your circle and put yourself around people like this. And I'm just thinking, like, are you even the fucking person that would rate to be in that circle? Do you even think about, you might be the one getting X'd out? Mm-hmm. And man, maybe that's harsh and maybe don't people say that, but like from my stance as a practitioner and what I observe within my own network, that is fucking true. And some of you should be fucking talking about that with yourself. Maybe not the most popular thing to say is like someone that's trying to attract business or attract agents or attract whatever. And it's like, no, man, I'm going to be me and I'm going to speak from context versus like be a carbon copy of Ben Newman and just say what Ben says or be friendly because Ben's friendly. Like Ben's just Ben. Ben's being Ben. Like me trying to be Ben is not going to, get me anywhere. And then, people that you can kind of tell are like that. It's like, man, are you even talking from a place of context and experience, or are you just talking shit? You're just trying to say what you think should be said versus like experience and observing truly what's around you.
Yeah.
And speaking to all of it, like speaking all of it.
I think that comes down to, who you are. You have an identity, you're comfortable with your identity, and you have that foundation. And when you know who you are, it's easier to stay who you are and look at framework and then adopt it to who you are.
Yeah, or just conversations with yourself, right? Like, give me your opinion on this. By the way, Diesel Mike said to let you talk more today. So cool. Loading questions. So, Mike, if you're listening, I need you to text me with this timestamp of where you're at on
I know,
this
we're
podcast.
only like 20 minutes in. Yeah.
And no, I'm going to beat you in that Rolex watch race. But like one of the biggest things that bothers me from like unsolicited advice or people that are around you is like the whole, like they hear some wins from us and it's like, just, hey, just keep being humble, be humble. Oh man, like, hey, be humble. No, I feel like, are you saying that to me because
keep getting your sleep
because I'm not humble?
Spend time with family.
Do you know anything about me to know whether I'm humble or not? Like, and that's such an interesting word because I humble to the point of what? Like, I think people adopt humble to like a demeanor, a personality, a behavior versus like a feeling, an understanding.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah, man, I've always
like someone might consider you humble. You know why? Because you don't fucking talk. If they knew what was in your brain, I know it's in your brain because you talk about it, and that's some nasty shit.
No, it's not.
Not nasty, but like I know I'm diming you out here. No. I'm going too far. I'm embellishing. You have some very assertive, more strict, thoughts, standards than I do in some realm. But because you're not necessarily as outspoken, and people might not be aware as them. One might come across as like Eli is very humble, right? Eli is the guy that like, he would score a touchdown and he wouldn't dance in the end zone. He would just hand it to the referee. It's like, that's because Eli's flat-footed and can't dance. That's why he's not dancing in the end zone. So then he's just going to hand the ball off. But then after he handed the ball off and he's running to the sidelines, he's like, hey, you see that little bitch try to tackle me? Fucking joker. He might say that, but it's just to his team. Like, so then it's like, there's just less access to some of your thought. And it's like, I'm using you as an example.
Yep.
People might assume that person's humble, and it's like, man, I don't think you have enough context to identify that person as humble or not.
Most people don't have that for anybody. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you can only really speak that way to like, man, people you truly,
why is it
truly,
such
truly
an advice giver?
Because it's one of those things that helps like stifle someone's success.
I feel like it's a virtue. I feel like they're virtue signaling. Well, I feel like when you tell people to remind them to be humble, that's also your way of making a statement that you are in itself humble because you're very aware of being humble. So you remind people
surface
to be
level. That's what they're trying to come off as.
Like super famous people or well-known people or people that accomplish like, oh, hey, I'm nobody. Hey, it's like, shut up, dude. It's easy to say that because you already know everybody knows who you are. So, but then by saying that, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Versus like, hey, why can't you be?
It could be any number of things. It could also be someone who truly thinks like, man, I've just put in the work over long enough time. I'm nobody special. I just fucking did the work. It could literally be something like that.
Yeah. I think I think being humble is like just understanding because humble is also like, I know it's a constant, but I get curious as into like what behavior surfaces most. Or surfaces at certain times.
I think it's just how you make other people feel. Because to your point, like, man, there's a lot of outspoken, a lot of really competitive dudes who are also humble because they don't make others around them feel like they're less than them.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
I feel like that's what humble is, because, man, you can be a quiet guy who, you know, makes other people feel like shit, you know, just in the things that you do say. And maybe you're not braggadocious and outlandish, but maybe you just say one little comment that people are like, oh, bro, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's more of the accurate way to assess something versus like people's personalities or how outspoken they are.
How do you, like, you make people feel fucking good when people are around you, and it's like, man, we have fun. You get them pumped up. People leave this room feeling 1,000 times better than they walked in.
But then I also bleed confidence. So then people sometimes take it for like, they feel they need to remind me to also be humble. And that's where it's like, hey, you're listening to me talk within a lane that I feel I'm at a professional level at. And I'm consistent with, and I can speak to it, right? Like, I think my humble comes out when you get to know me better and you're around me enough to where you see more going on, and you'll hear me say how much, like, I don't know something, or how many questions I do ask, or how much I do listen. But typically when you see me, if you're not in my circle per se, right? Like, well, I'm only around when I'm teaching, instructing on a podcast. So I tend to come off within a lane of like, hey, man, that guy talks a lot of, man, that guy's super confident. Like, well, kind of. I'm super confident.
Which is also okay.
I'm super confident in this lane.
Yeah, but you don't meet people around you.
But that's also why you're listening to me. Like, are you listening to me to like be super humble and like ask the audience what their opinion of what I should talk about is? I don't know. Like, it's just interesting.
No, but bottom line is, man, like, you make people feel good, you know, for the most part, unless they're a weak or insecure or whatever, or just shithead person where they're trying to like find reasons to not feel okay. But
then my confidence will come out sometimes, because if you step on me a certain way or behave toward me a certain way, I'll remind you that that's inappropriate. But then I'm okay to go right back to where we were at. And I think that fucking throws people off. The bottom line is this. I was elaborating on all of this because you said people don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And I think you should just have more conversations with yourself. And I also think that, like, you got to find what works to find who you are as well, right? Like what profession you're getting into and what type of people. Like, there are certain people, because I'm me, but then there's like other me's, right? Let's use relationships for an example. Like, I've dated someone before where, like, as much as I was aware of myself, it was like they brought the worst out of me, right? Like cussing or like just certain things. And it's like, is that even you? Same thing with like professions, right? Like, depending on what I choose to do and where I follow in place, and maybe it's not good for me, you know? And then, like, I think it derives from like the work. Like, if you put in the work before, so like real estate was super new for me, right? This is a good example, I think, in my mind. I do not look like real estate at all. And when I tried to look like real estate, I wasn't necessarily bad. And I think we all tend to like try to look the part. You're not faking it till you make it. It's not to that extent, but just trying to like look the part or fit in because you're wanting to. I mean, it's new, so you're
do what you think you should do.
Yeah. So you're wearing the tie, whatever. Like, I wasn't doing a bad job, and it wasn't that it was not me. I just wasn't in my flow state. I had to just get back to being me and like put the work in to figure out like, hey, what are my strengths in this industry? What am I really good at as far as like with people, with contracts, and you know, things like that, like, and then gravitate to that, but then also just understand like, I've got to be myself in that lane. I can't go copying Ryan Serhant for the sake of, well, he's successful, so let me mirror that. Because now, again, like, nothing will come from context. Everything will come from, I'm just repeating what Ryan Serhant does. Even down to people that copy our channel, bro. You know, like, take the name. You can take our YouTube channel name, you know, but if you're not organically being yourself, you're trying to be something on camera. You know how many people don't smile, and I see them smiling nonstop on a camera? I can feel that, bro.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, hey, take the title. You can copy all of ours. I don't care. We don't own that, right? Like, do your thing, but you're still not being yourself on camera. You're still not. You haven't put enough work in to like really feel like where you've got a niche in the game, which means you're not gonna be unique. You're not gonna be different. You know, and I wonder why people think that like, if you just do everything that someone else does, like that's how you, like, no, man.
Yeah, that's not the way to do it. And you can't just do what other people do, because that might not work for you at all. And if you're always trying to do that, man, you might be shooting yourself in the foot, because more than you would think, man, like, people feel that energy. They feel that, man, it's just not coming off as genuine. Even though if they can't tell, you're copying someone else. It's just not coming off as genuine.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And I think it's important. You know, my biggest piece here is like your personal relationships matter big time, right? Who you decide to be a partner with, your friends. Are you in an echo chamber? You know, like, are you just around like-minded people that like, oh man, everything you say is good to go and everything they say is good to go. And like, oh, good to go. Like, do you adopt that? Or like you're seeking a certain, like after we were on Andy Frisella's podcast, do I come back and like, now I'm cussing and I'm super assertive. And because like, hey, and it probably looks like I should be like that. I don't know, but it's not me. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't like that when I was on his podcast. Not like that after his podcast. Like I'm still mean. I just see a lot of like when people, like for example, when people seek a circle, like you seek the Frisella brothers, you know, you seek a Ben Newman, like you start adopting their beliefs, their characteristics, their style of photos. And it's like, man, like you're not going to get in the room with those guys by being another one of them. Just be one of them, but be you.
Man, they can see it too.
I bet they can.
So hardcore, they can see it.
But they don't talk about it. Yeah. Andy probably would. If we brought this up, he'd probably talk for a day on this.
Yeah. But I think it's just so common. I think it's so common.
Well, but so back to being who you are, right? Like this might not be a popular topic of discussion. This might rub people the wrong way. My post on Instagram today might rub someone the wrong way. Good. You know, like, well, I'm not going to listen to that guy anymore. I'm not going to, what you don't realize is like I'm already prepared for that and I'm actually filtering you out.
Yeah.
Those statements are to challenge you or filter you.
Yeah.
There is no leverage that's giving up. But like, yeah, man, it's interesting. Like we see that a lot. We see it a lot in business.
There was a tweet that Gary Vee had put out years ago and he had copied his tweet and then a reply to it. But he had said like something along the lines of like, you know, kindness is the most underrated something or other, right? In other words, like be kind in business. And then someone else replied to it, yeah, but kindness is taken as weakness. And then his reply was, by weak people. And that was like such a good response to a phrase like that. And I think it's just like this, just the opposite side of like, man, challenging somebody, having conflicting beliefs, just being yourself, like whatever that is, like can be perceived as a certain way. And then it's like, yeah, by weak fucking people. All good.
And I definitely think like when like people don't put the energy into like correcting people or when they're watching them adopt certain things, it's like, it just might not be worth their time to even dive into a person that's at the level of like doing that because the person higher up per se in business or whatnot, like can already identify and like understand what that person is. And it's
just
not.
Looking up here, you know, like all that other shit is down here.
Yeah. But you copying everything they do is not a compliment.
No. Compliment. No.
Or like even more importantly, like when you talk about like, hey, people don't really know who they are. Man, that's such a great one. Cause I've got this second point today. If you're okay with it,
please.
The responsibility behind doing what the fuck you say you're going to do. And having dove into yourself and your work ethic and all of that before you seek quote unquote mentorship or people that are like pouring into you for your business and helping you out. And you're like, yeah, I know this is great. And, you know, they help you write out your goals. They, you know, and like, but then like, I don't believe you when you say, even if someone's like, oh, they had every intention of putting the work in, but then they just didn't. I don't believe you. I don't think that you had every intention to do that because I don't think you've even had the conversation with yourself. And I don't think you've ever put yourself to the test with work prior. And this is why fitness can be such a good tool because it's a physical representation for you. It's like, well, how do I test myself if I don't know where I'm at with my own work ethic and my own level of proficiency? Like, work out, just make a goal, gain muscle, lose fat, be more flexible, be more athletic, be more proficient with your mobility movements. Take a goal, stick to it, and then do everything you can to be the best level of yourself within that lane. I'm not asking you to play pro baseball, right? But like get to an extremely high level for you within whatever goal that was. Like that's going to let you know right away, like, are you disciplined? Do you have what it's like? But if you can't find a way to test yourself before you go seeking mentorship, seeking guidance, seeking different circles to help you, because you're going to find it.
You're not ready for it.
And you're going to burn that bridge and they're never going to help you again. And like, I'm at that point with people that are around, like in our circle, like it's, and here's the thing though, like it's not I don't dislike you. I don't not respect you. I don't not like you as a person or a human. It's like none of that. We're talking about energy in and energy out and time spent, and like
you're just not there yet.
But it's so disrespectful to take people's time when you have zero intention or you've just put no strategy or put yourself to the test with whether you're going to actually put the work in or not. And whether you actually like, you're so excited to be around that circle and, oh, I've leveled up. I'm in a better circle now. And hey, you are the 5 people you hang around. Like, I hope they still let you hang around. Have you ever thought of that?
You got to fucking bring value.
Yeah.
Man.
And sometimes if the only value, like for me, right, I don't need a lot. And sometimes, like if I'm pouring into someone, they're not going to give me anything. And this, man, that sounds pretentious, but just bear with me. Let's just keep it in business, okay? There's nothing that they're going to do for me that's a value add. Everything that I'm doing to try to coach them, mentor them, whatever word you want to put on it, is merely drastically more for their benefit than it is for mine. But at times, just you doing what you say you're going to do and building your brand, that's enough. Just me being able to realize that the time I gave was worth it because you're applying it and seeing you win, dude, that's baller.
Yeah, that's the ROI.
That's baller. And it reminds me of like coaches, man, like football coaches. They don't need that shit. Teachers make like $5 an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, they make like 30 grand a year and they get like an extra $700 to be the coach for the summer.
Right.
They're giving you how many hours a week in the summer? Like I got buddies that are high school coaches, bro. I think it's like $800 or $1,200 extra pay for the season.
It's crazy.
Dude, you're making like 5 cents an hour if you actually put into like how much they're doing. And
yeah.
They're cool with it, dude.
Yep.
But all they want to do is see you win. But it is gratifying. It is rewarding for that coach to watch you win. And like, I feel I'm sometimes like that in real estate. Like, anyone can come help with do deals. I don't give a shit. You're a commodity. If that's all you are, you're a commodity. There's 10 trillion agents that would love to fucking have deals handed to them. But watching someone win and apply themselves, like, dude, that's super gratifying for me. And like, it's like, I'm okay if that's the only return. It's not like well, what's in it for me? It's not in it from like a jerk standpoint, but it blows my mind how people don't think that it's disrespectful to take time and ask questions and have somebody.
They don't value their own fucking time.
Well,
they don't understand the value of money or of time. They don't understand the value of time. So when they're taking someone's time, it means nothing because they don't look at their time as valuable.
Yeah, or like when they decide to do the work, they're just they haven't experienced. Like I see this in the coaching realm, like being a part of like Ben Newman's company and seeing more coaches. It's like you're just a dupe. You're just a copy. You're not telling your own story. Like you might tell someone like, "Hey, you should be motivated, and here's how to be motivated." Like, where does that even come from, bro? Like, hey, establishing these 3 things within your business are important. How do you know? Like, I agree with the 3 things that you said, but like, where is that coming from, man? Like, did you get that from someone else and you've got the template, so now you coach it? Like, and that's the dangerous part about leadership, mentorship, coach nowadays. Dude, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. You call me your mentor, you're going to piss me off. Because I didn't give that to you. And maybe I'm narrow-minded, but like that whole mentorship thing, man, like that's a gift that someone gives you and they don't call you their mentor, but someone you look up to that you're growing into that circle or that lane of business when they decide to meet with you individually and give you time. That's what that is. And maybe you have a lot of mentors or maybe you've never actually had a real one. It could be either one, but like, don't call me your mentor, especially if you aren't doing what you said you were going to do, but you call me that on public forum to what? Because somehow that throws me some credit. I don't need the credit. I don't need any of that. What I need is for you to just get after it and do what you said you were going to do, which is why I invested my time in the first place. And like, dude, Donald Cerrone said this about way back, and I don't know if he ever was public about it, but no one would put their fucking stamp on him. Like, he went down to New Mexico, like coaches in Denver. He was still partying, and all he wanted to do was, like, fucking spar, didn't want to train. No coaches wanted to corner him. Because it's like, man, if I corner your fight, like, hey, I'm putting my stamp on you, dude. If you lose, but you don't lose professionally. You don't lose because you just got beat. You lose because you're unprepared. I'm unprepared.
Right.
Hey, man, I ain't doing it. Like, and then he went down to Jackson's, and then Jackson was like, hey, I want you to be my 155er. But he was just down there in a culture where, like, I think he got exposed to what that stuff was. And then, obviously Jackson put a stamp on him. But, man, those things are just super important. But, again, all of this indirectly loops back to, like, you got to be you. Because when you're being you and you're getting after and you're putting your time in, you're going to find your niche. And you're also going to find how you'd like to do that niche, which then leads you to the appropriate style of mentorship and leadership that you'll graduate into, versus trying to find that first and then reverse it. Because when you reverse it, you just pretend like you're that person. You're just mimicking everything that person says. You're mimicking their behaviors, and it's not going to get you anywhere, man.
Yeah, and it's funny too. Like, I think so many people are so afraid to say anything negative or perceived as negative, or piss anybody off, that everything just becomes so diluted and so vanilla. And dude, that was me for a long time. And I'm still, like, not controversial by any means, but I'm getting better at bringing up more things that I'm just personally am into, instead of like, oh shit, I can't post that because I don't want people to think this, where you end up just speaking to nobody, or you do just end up sounding kind of like everybody else.
Yeah. Just having, like, ownership, being part of who you are. Did I remember, like, when we first started this podcast, there was no way you were going to talk about shrooms.
Yeah, no way. Actually, I think there wasn't any way, but then I think episode 1, you brought up ecstasy, and someone was talking about that.
On purpose.
I know.
On purpose. And it's like, yeah, like, are you a good dude? Are you a smart guy? Are you successful? Do you use these as tools and they're a benefit to you?
Yeah.
Then what's the problem with talking about it?
Right.
And if anyone spreads judgment toward it, well, Joe Rogan's a huge example of, like, things that are considered taboo he's used as tools. And, well, if you respect the individual and everything they're about and everything they've accomplished, and these things have enhanced them, well, then you have to take the whole addict or drug abuse conversation out of it, because whatever drug he's consuming is not the addiction problem. It's people's inability to not become an addict with things and abuse. Like, maybe it's genetic, maybe it's not. I don't know. Like, it's not for that's out of my scope. But see how humble that was? Out of my scope. But the bottom line is, like, just being rooted in who you are and being okay. And I don't mean don't have a filter. And no, I'm not talking about mushrooms with my grandma at Christmas, right? Unless she listens to the podcast, right? Like, because maybe that's not the right audience. But just being rooted in who you are, and just like, hey, if you're a good guy that's gotten after it and has some things work for you, why not talk about it? And like, you'll get the Grant Cardones of the world, we're like, hey man, maybe not the David Goggins of the world. Like, oh, people got shit to say about those dudes, but those dudes have also given permission for a lot of people to be themselves. And I'm not saying that you should need that permission, but yes, man, like, there's some people that have gone out and been successful, that have been a certain way. Maybe they're a little bit over the top for the sake of being louder so people actually see it. But like, for example, like, when you're a bodybuilder, your tan is dark as fuck.
It's ridiculous.
Because the lights on stage are so bright, they will whitewash you out. You won't be able to see any cuts. So you have to be that. So I wonder if, like, these guys are over the top with some things because, like, society is so loud or so valid. Like, they have to be that rooted, that outlandish to just get the normal response that you might get in, like, a closed environment. I don't know. So I wonder if they're over the top for reasons. But the bottom line is, man, they've given a lot of people permission to be themselves. Take that how you may.
No, and I think that's really important, man, because when you look at, even how we're conditioned as kids. Like, I remember growing up, bro, it was like, man, I wore the Walmart shoes. I didn't have Nikes till probably freshman year. And even then, they were a pair from Goodwill. But that was something that, like, that was an issue for me. And it was commented on all the time. And it was like, even in school, from the brands that we wear, you wear something different than you normally wear. People are saying shit. So it's like, our entire lives as children, I feel like if you try and step out of the norm, man, people quickly fucking squash it. And then I think that carries over into corporate world. Thankfully, we're not corporate guys, but that's extremely prevalent in corporate world. You can't piss anyone off. You can't come off like an asshole, even in an email in corporate world, unless you're CEO or somebody.
Right.
So I think a lot of that is natural. And that's why I like to use the word permission, because the more that we're able to observe people just finding success and people actually embracing people for who they are, not because they stand in, it really helps shift perspective.
I agree. And I've also heard podcasts, out there that speak about, like, your circle or your tribe or whatever it is, and, like, how much you enjoy the people around you and how they're so similar to you. I have a hard one with that because like our circle is very diverse, very different minded. So we get a lot of perspectives, which is great. But then I'm just making sure that like I'm rooted in who I am. But I don't want people to just be around me that are good to go with me all the time. Like just I never bother them. There's never anything in question. We're just it's one big echo chamber. I don't think that's growth. And then that is an environment where you start drinking your own Kool-Aid, or you start believing your own bullshit. I think that can get dangerous for your growth. Oh, yeah. The other side is like, well, you got so many people speaking, or so many different types of folks in your circle. Yeah, but like fundamentally in my circle, different careers, different walks of life, different ages, but like their integrity, their core values, who they want to be as a person are very rooted and similar.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Right, like the men that we have around us, they're good fathers, and their careers in a certain place, and like they do have standards for themselves,
and a desire to want to be better.
But their thought process is extremely different, and how they come to their thought process is interesting, and I like that because people around me have no problem. Like, hey, what the fuck is that? Hey, did you think about this? Like, I like it because then it just gives me things to like, hey, don't believe everything you think. You start drinking your own Kool-Aid, or you're in your own flow for however long. Like, don't necessarily believe everything that you think, and being able to have people that are super dynamic that can just give you different perspectives. Now, if you're not careful, you can just start doing things because someone said to do it. Like that's
if
not
you
good.
don't know who you are,
or believing something just because Joe Rogan said something on the podcast, so now you regurgitate that. I'm not saying don't regurgitate it, but what I am saying is like, have you given any thought? Have you processed any of that before you decide to just take it at face value and regurgitate it? Like for your own benefit. So same thing. Like something that helps me with that, with having such a dynamic circle and like not falling into like a pattern. We talked about this the other day, white space on your calendar, like deliberate space that does not get booked up. Like you and I were, I think it was yesterday, or it was the Marine Corps birthday. We had some work to do, and then it was like, yeah, man, cool. We're going to bang that out, and then I'm going to go get lost on some road somewhere in the truck. So if you need me, I won't be there. Sorry, bro. Don't fall off your ladder. I'm not, and it was like, oh, cool. And like, I feel, I don't have it like every week. I don't know if I schedule it like, well, I do know. I don't schedule it religiously, and maybe I could be better about that. But I know like when I feel it, and like I know when I'm gathering a ton of information, like with our days with work, right? Like we're gathering a ton of data and a ton of things that are going on so we can make assessments on what you and I are doing next and how we're and how we're growing. And, and then we're also gathering like beliefs and ideas and different things from like people in our circle. And we've got all of that. Like, I feel like I collect so much. Like once I get a little full, I want to pause, like one thing that's been built into my schedule, but I don't deliberately do it, is like Cash. Man, if I'm laying in bed with him, that boy ain't going to bed. Yes, he still sleeps with us. If you're that other parent, like, hey, that's cool, go fuck yourself, right? But Kate will give him a bath at night, right? Because like, hey, bath before bed, then she'll start getting him settled down, and then cool. And like, but that gives me time to myself, where like, man, maybe I got some music on, maybe the TV's on or something. But like, I've got this oversized beanbag. It's amazing. It has an ottoman with it. It's baller. I pause. And I just process my day. I process my thought. I'll go back to my notes, things in my phone that I've written down, and just like think about what I think about that.
It's important.
Right? Does that make any sense? Like I write thoughts down or ideas or something that someone's given me, and then I think about what I think about that.
It's really important. Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons that you are who you are and you're so comfortable with who you are, is because you're constantly doing these.
But it's perishable if you don't work on it. So like for the people, going back to like one of your first points of like, I don't even know if people know like who they are. Well,
it's effort.
Find out. Like go put the work in and go find out who you are. And go think, when you're gathering information, like just be a critical thinker. Like just think like, well, what do I think of that? And you know what? If you've never done that before, it's okay to say, I don't know what I think of that. Maybe I should go research. And just by putting the work that into yourself, you're going to find a lot, versus like, man, you listen to Andy, you listen to Joe or whoever, and then you just go regurgitate the shit that they're saying, or you want to be a part of certain circles and you look up to certain people so they believe something or they think something. So then you're just over here saying the same thing on your podcast or on your platform, and you're adopting their demeanor, and whatnot. And it's just
look at the fucking news, man. Look at the political parties. You see that happen on a mass scale.
That's a day for a whole nother drink,
over
buddy.
the place. Yeah,
there's also like money and corruption in that.
Yeah,
I'm talking like people's just purest form of they're complacent to who they are, so they're adopting someone else's.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
but the news and stuff is like, no, Pfizer fucking funds your channel. You're not going to say anything.
No, I get that. No,
people are clearly
going to the public.
Yeah, like, but I think there's just more maliciousness in that, right? Because people do know something's inappropriate, or they do know something's not accurate, but they're going to report something else anyway because this fucking place pays your bills.
And when you see how
there's awareness. But there's awareness to it, though. I'm talking about today on the podcast,
a lot of brainwash people. Yeah.
Well, no. Well, yeah, because they're watching the news. You're talking about the consumers.
Yes.
Watching. Well, yeah, you're just not a critical thinker.
No, exactly. Hopefully, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Well, hopefully, we have faith in our audience that listens to this, that you guys aren't that. And if you are, like, sorry.
Unless you guys are all our tribe and don't have conflicting
But just
ideas.
find a way to, like, like when you're, like if Aaron Rodgers, if you're the backup quarterback to Aaron Rodgers, or you're in Little League, you're in high school and you're a quarterback.
Yeah.
So you're watching like everything you can about Aaron Rodgers. Like, try to learn what you can about that guy's smarts of the game, how he breaks down film and how he reads defenses and how he calls audibles and why he's, but don't necessarily try to throw the ball like that if that's not you. If you don't throw the ball that way, if you don't understand how that guy's God-given when it comes to that, or Patrick Mahomes, Russell from the Seahawks, like middle infielders that played baseball that have God-given ability to, when they talk about like throwing off your front foot or your back foot and how you should load. And these guys can literally do the reverse of what would look like loading up energy to throw a ball, and it throws the ball.
It works.
And it's like, hey, if that's not you, like learn everything you can from the framework of Aaron Rodgers, but don't necessarily try to mimic him. Now, I do understand that like when you're in Little League, all we do is mimic professionals. So that's a little bit young. I think that's a little bit young for our audience. But as you start progressing and getting older, you're getting into high school, college, whatever it may be, and I'm just using this as an example. Very little athletes probably listen to this, but you've got to find how you throw the ball. You've got to figure out, like, where am I at fundamentally? What works for me? And then you've got to stay within you, man. Like,
right.
So, yeah, man, like, am I going to come off a little cocky sometimes, or are friends going to, like, not like that I beat the fuck out of them in cornhole and I won't slow down? Like, or whatever it is, like, hey, man, like, but you just got to love me for me then, because that same demeanor or that same mindset has also kept me alive in some circumstances, through some experiences that I've been in. And I also operate better. Like, when my partner Rob looks at my target, it only makes me better.
Right.
That works for me. It doesn't go like, oh, Rob's looking, oh shit, no.
Yeah.
This is better than mine. I'm not even gonna look at yours, bro. So that's like that's how I operate. A football player that dances in the end zone or has to like talk a little trash back to, like, that might just be how they operate better. That might be in the zone. And I'm not getting into, like,
that's one thing that
I'm not talking about your mom. Like, I'm not talking about these UFC fighters that go so far into their antics. But
why can't we dance in the end zone anymore?
You can. You just can't, like, directly face to face make fun of someone. It's taunting.
So you can dance, but you can't.
Like, if I score on you, I can't get up and then get in your face. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Or like, how you like that shit? So that's
the rule. Because I thought guys have gotten in trouble for doing their celebration dance and stuff. Or slamming the ball down.
No, all that stuff, it's acceptable. It's just like the taunting. Like, I can't be looking at you and call it in like, yeah, how you like that? And spike the ball while I'm looking at you. That's taunting.
So interesting to me.
Yeah. I mean, take it for what it is. You make a lot of money, follow the rule, right? Like, you don't.
But they didn't always have that rule, right?
No.
Yeah,
no, that was this year.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, like, just, like Conor McGregor. Man, outlandish. Maybe too far, because now he's punching old dudes in the bar. I don't know. I can't speak for that guy.
Yeah.
But, like, I do know before some of his public fights or just weird stuff that, like, his confidence in what he would do, he backed it up. And it only made his approach even stronger, because now when you have to fight him and he's in your face saying how you're going to go down, and he already told everyone else how someone else was going to go down, and that's how they went down, man, that's going to chip in you a little bit. Like, man, why is this guy so confident? And then your counter to that is like, he ain't never seen someone like me. We've seen it, bro. All the cheesy-ass guys that cannot keep up with that guy's an entertainer, but hey, to think that like that didn't enhance his game, and like I'm not that far with him. I don't get inappropriate or get weird, but I do like competition. And if I'm beating you, man, I do like that you looked at my target. And hey, isn't that something, man? Like, and I make that look so easy, huh? And like, dude, we'll talk about this with business. I think we make business look easy. We don't show every single we don't have time to show every single thing we do with like systems and processes that are built on the back end of stuff. You get the tip of the iceberg, not because we're hiding. There's just no time.
We're just setting up a goddamn podcast.
Yeah, and just talking about the
basic shit.
Even just, dude, like Mark Pattison was talking the other day. He started his
birthday.
Like,
happy birthday, Mark Pattison.
Happy birthday, Mark Pattison, who never calls me back. Fucking jerk. He does. I'm being funny, but he didn't call me back yesterday, so now I'm going to punish him on my podcast. But he's like, oh, dude, it's hard. Oh, man, like the work that goes into it, like it's hard, and like it is. Yeah. You know, but at the same time, like when we're all in business, especially within like a similar or same field, like all of our realtor buddies, you know, and whatever, like just in this, even just in the entrepreneur world, if you don't see a sweat and we make this look easy, good. It's called the game face. You know, and like, no, man, I've had that game face since I can remember. But again, I operate well from that, and I don't want to lose who I am just because like I graduate into a circle where they have a different approach with some things.
It's just tears, bro.
Well, if I'm not sacrificing my integrity, if I'm not belittling people, like, you got to be who you are. Yeah. Within, you know, a high level, respectable human.
If you don't know who you are, figure it the fuck out.
I should just let you have the last word there.
It's true, man. It's true. Like there's something to, man, you're memorable when you're who you are. Especially when you have some of the natural characteristics that you do, you're fucking rememberable, and you're memorable. And in business, especially, man, if you're not getting the attention, if you're not memorable, if you're not, like just who you are, man, you're going to blend in everybody else.
Yeah. And here's the deal. If you're not that outspoken, if you don't quite think you're that guy, well, then just go find a guy like that.
Well, and you can be memorable in different ways. Like there's other ways you can be memorable.
Great point. Great point. But it's also like, there's another side of this whole coin too, because like, so this is just me. You've known me for years now. We work together every single day. We see each other more than we see our wives. And we've seen each other at every high, every low, consistently. Like you have a great grasp, in my opinion, of whatever vision or whatever lens you see me through. I trust because it's you see it. This is me. However, in addition to like, oh, you're outspoken and confident and like, man, like that's good for business or whatever. Like, oh, the dude thrives better in competition and he'll throw you a little shade if you're not doing as well. Like, but it also makes me a super easy target to say dumb shit to.
Oh yeah.
There's this other side of the coin where like I have to remove myself and deflect some of that. Everyone else that gets to lay up in the cut.
Now, what do you consider dumb shit when you say it makes it easy for people to say dumb shit too?
Well, just people that assume I'm a certain way or I'm a certain person or assume I'm great at everything or assume that like you've never had a hard day or actually had to try at something or just like the super limited perspective they have on you, so they think you're an asshole or you're cocky or just stuff like that. Probably stuff that Andy Frisella has to deal with. Probably even more. Like I'm not even close to that guy's level as far as being out there. But it's like, like it's, you know, so for folks that are like not as outspoken, more internal, more whatever, it's like, well, yeah, it's easy for you to say, bro, because like, well, that's who you are. It's not easy to be who I am all the time.
Right.
But I gotta be me, right? So like, hey, your difficulty is you're not outspoken. You're not certain things. So you have a hard time getting more attention. You just got to find a better way to get attention within your business to grow your business. But you got to be you. So don't think that like being this way, and that's what I'm talking about when you adopt people's behaviors.
Right.
You know, like when, hey, everyone found out Steve Jobs was an asshole. So like, all right, let's be an asshole now. Like, if that's not you, it won't work because you're going to be an asshole at the wrong time or say the wrong. That's just that guy and how he decides to push humans, and he made humans better in his business. And okay, but there's intuition that goes into that, and there's something about when it's who you are, and you become successful with it. Like, I think it can go well, but there's hards on both sides. But imagine that now, like, okay, if I adopt someone's behaviors and whatever it may be, there's still going to be some hard to it. Whatever you're projecting, there's still going to be some hard. So if it's not you, how do you know how to respond? Mm-hmm. How do you know how to handle it? Like, you don't even know. It'd be like, dude, it's like dating and not being yourself. Dude, you're going to fuck around and she's going to like the person you're trying to be. Now what? Yep. You're going to maintain that? Mm-hmm. And then that guy, that sweetheart, that whatever guy you're being, now every time she has a question for you or a bad day or you're interacting, you're trying to interact like this guy, like the guy you're envisioning would react or would respond.
You're an actor on a set without a script.
It's like compounding interest on your fake image.
Yeah.
Like you just keep getting more and more and more fake because you can't even speak from like who you are, right? And like that's what I'm getting at as well. Like you decide to adopt characteristics in business or for the sake of social media, you got to keep that up now. Mm-hmm. You know, like, and there's guys I talk to like behind the scenes and like good dudes, and they have incredible stories. And I'm like, hey, bro, why haven't you ever told your story? I like your purple robe and your, you know, like, I like the fact that you have this photo of yourself with your hot tea and your purple robe and your home and your hair combed and you're speaking about nighttime before you go to bed. I'm like, dang, who the fuck goes to bed like that, bro?
Who are you talking about?
I'm not on the air. Because it's not about that. It's not about that. You don't even know the guy.
Oh, gotcha. No. Sounds hilarious.
But it's like every photo is like
a pipe.
And dude, too. I use filters. Right? If I got a little bag under my eye, like I filter some stuff here and there, but like I don't go take a fake image to then place it into a slot to then
it's funny.
It's like
that's the whole high school thing, bro. That's wearing your Goodwill Nikes.
Or like this guy has lost a ton of weight. Like he's got an incredible story. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he's proud of it. And I don't think he wants to own it because maybe it's fear of what people would say, or more is it he just doesn't want to identify with his story. Yeah. Maybe it's hard. Yeah. So I don't. That's why I'm not saying his name on here. It's not important. He's not the only one anyway. But I'm just curious about that. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect either. Like let's just throw that out there. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I am
definitely not trying to act like anyone you're not. That's for damn sure.
No. Yeah. You know. So like I know I don't agree with putting yourself into like just similar circles. Uh-huh. I don't agree with like putting around your people that are just like in love with who you are, no matter who you are in that. Like, no, man, I like people that question me and have great things to say and challenge me because I know it comes from a place of care. And it also just makes me more cognizant of pausing, taking all of that information in and being rooted in who I am and either being okay to change my mind or change my perspective because it's needed, or being politely okay to just be me, bro.
So in addition to just taking some time to self-reflect, sit on your beanbag, I know you write and stuff like that. What are some other things that you've done to help, man, just really firm up your beliefs as far as who you are?
Just living more life, just experiences more, getting around more people, living more life, being a dad. Holy shit. Mm-hmm. Talk about perspective and like, you know, like for example, even just being hard on your kids, you know, like that's such the right answer. Right? Like be hard on them. If they need a spanking. If they're going to cry, put them in the corner. Like that's such the like quote unquote right thing to say.
Oh, I don't know nowadays.
Until you have a kid. But it's also, dude, I don't like spanking my kids. Yeah. It's hard.
I'm not against it by any means, but I've legitimately had to spank Elijah like once. Mm-hmm. Outside of a little tap on the butt sometimes.
Like I feel like I've got a good command presence and he knows, you know, but like, for example, even like I'm so appreciative that my parents, like I joined the Marine Corps in 04, dude. End of 04, 05, like it was like melee. And I decided to go in the infantry. So there you go. So do the math on that shit. Marine Corps infantry, 04, 05, you know, I'm my mother's only son. Mm-hmm. Do the math on that. I didn't realize the weight behind the gift that she gave me, dude. She never told me not to. She never told me to question it. She never, well, I don't know. What do you think? You know, like, same with my dad. You know, like my dad was in the Marine Corps during Vietnam and never pushed it on me. But I grew my life to a place where like, hey, that was now the decision. And just them having the strength to let me go when I went during that era. Now as like a father of like my son, right? It's like you want them to do hard and challenging things, correct? Because it hardens you and you're experiencing things and you're going to be a better human for it.
You get to figure out who you are. Yeah.
But the thought of my son being hurt is imaginable. Mm-hmm. So it's not easy, right? So like just a perspective on how I speak to other parents or how I'm more understanding of other parents when it's like, dude, it's not letting your kiddos just do or whatever. Like it's not as easy as you might think, but hey, you don't want to shelter them, but then you also don't want them to walk themselves down a bad path. And so like being a father has given me way more perspective and appreciation for my parents that I was ignorant to. You know, when maybe, hey, I took that for granted or wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah.
So I think it's just living, man. But like while you're living and you're all of this intel, right, through life is like filling up your head, all the podcasts you're listening to, feeling like you're gathering all of this. Are you taking any time to process any of it? Or is it just going in and going out? You know, and you're just duplicating behaviors, duplicating beliefs, right? And versus like pausing, man, like let that train just stop and just process what you think about what you think. You know, like what you think about what you think of.
Yeah.
You know, like a podcast or a person, you know, like.
And why do you think that?
You know, infiltrates your brain by you're around and you're interacting, you know, like what do you think about your thoughts? Like do you just believe everything you think?
Yeah.
And I mean like think like as in your thoughts. Like if you were to talk to me about something right now, I'm going to be thinking of it because that's my brain. We're talking about it. You tell me, you know, how cool Vans company is. Shoes, right? Am I just a proponent of Vans now because I super dig Eli and I think he's such a great dude? So like he likes Vans, so now I like Vans.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, well, Vans is like the number one contributor to like baby seals dying in the ocean. Like, oh shit, right? Like super far reach.
Yeah,
Maybe not. I don't know. But you see what I'm saying? Like, are you just adopting things because you're more in tune with like the vision or the external product you see people as? Yeah. So you just want to be them, or because you think they're such a high level or good person, you're then just acting like them? Or are you really thinking about everything that's coming in your, like, are you processing all of that? And like, you can adopt ideologies, you can adopt certain things, but you can still be yourself while doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I like what you said too about, man, just the discipline and hard work. I think that is one of the most fundamental, easiest ways to really find out who you are. Man, when you're putting yourself through these stressful situations, that's why I love 75 Hard so much, is because it's shit everyone can do. It's very simple. It's only 2.5 months long. Yeah. But it's so fucking difficult, but so simple at the same time. It's simple. It's not easy, you know? And I think that exposure of like, oh, fuck, I got like 5 things to do every day and I can't even get through week 2. You know, like that is really good insight, because I think the quicker people can realize they ain't shit, the faster they'll start to become shit. The faster they'll start to like have that respect for other people's time. Realize, like, man, I've got a lot of work to do before I even do this thing. I can't read 10 pages a day. What the fuck?
Yeah, like you're not shit, but you're everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're you. And this is your movie, and you're the star of that movie. And if that star of that movie is humble and soft-spoken and whatever, but powerful in his own right, be that guy. That's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson in your movie. Be you in your movie, but like, yeah, you're not shit, but you're everything, because you can be the shit, and you can be successful, and you can, you know, become better. But you've got to do it through being you. And yes, it's okay to just, if you're in the right circle, you don't have to adopt every ideology they have or have fear of being kicked out or rooted out. And if you were, well, then you're in the wrong circle.
Well, dude, and to start, like you said, and that's kind of what I meant by like the you ain't shit thing. It's okay to not have a voice right away. It's okay to like, you know, not be good at something. It's okay to be new. The people that come in that need to fucking do the whole fake it till you make it. Document. Or your public speaker before like you've done shit.
There's people in real estate, you know who I'm talking about. They don't have their shit together.
Yeah, most everybody, most of them. Yeah.
No, that's not true. Well, no,
but I feel like most everybody does.
But I can't speak about people I haven't interacted. I'm speaking specifically about some of our interactions with people we've tried to help. And like, I watch their social media and they're giving advice. Versus just document what you're doing. Hey, I woke up today at 5:30 in the morning and here's what I did. Like, hey, that felt good. My energy was good. Like, I was a little tired come 4 o'clock, but man, I don't think that's like permanent. I think I'm just getting used, you know, I'll be getting used to getting up early, but hey, here's what I did. Like, here's what I did to attack my day and it worked, versus like waking up at 5:30. Yeah. We'll do these 3 things for your day. Shut the fuck up, dude. Like, you don't even do that.
Yeah, you did it once.
You know, like, and that's my whole thing with Jocko. The dude wakes up at 4:30. So then people start doing it. Like, hey man, Jocko's not telling you to wake up at 4:30 if you actually understand. Yeah. Jocko is showing you his consistency. That's him. He records himself in black and white. I still can't figure it out. It's awesome. I don't know that option on fucking Instagram. Bless your heart. But I don't need black and white videos to then be Jocko at the same time, right? And then I don't need to wake up at 4:30 because Jocko does it, and really, like, my mornings are shit and it's not productive, and come 12:30, you know, like, I'm not doing very good. And it's like, well, why? Well, you're just being lazy. No, maybe my job requires me to be up till 11:30 at night, and that's not my thing. Or, hey, man, maybe someone's natural disposition is they can sleep 5 hours and they're good to go. Some people need 8. So get your fucking 8. But just get consistent. And if you haven't found a way to be consistent, you know, like, you normally wake up at 8 a.m. and then, hey, Jocko motivates you, right? Get your fucking cock hard. So now you're like the 4:30er, and then you make the biggest mistake. You take the screenshot of your fucking watch and you post it on your Instagram for your first one. Do you know how many people I've seen do that and stop?
Yeah, everybody besides Jocko.
Not everybody.
Anyone who's done it besides Jocko has stopped.
It's just a blanket statement.
Yeah,
everybody
true,
is people I can't speak to.
Yeah.
But I have people that I follow
and
that are on my personal Facebook, and I've watched them stop, and I'm like,
it's embarrassing.
Joker. But the reality is, like, that doesn't have to be you. And you wake up at 8 a.m. What if you decided to wake up at 7? Why is not waking up an hour early an accomplishment if you can maintain that consistency? And then for the next 6 months, for the next year, you added an hour a day to your day. And you were consistent with it. That's going to tell you a lot. And then, hey, maybe you're doing great at, and maybe instead of waking up even earlier, you tweak your evening, and then you make your evening more productive. That's figuring out, like, okay, Jocko's consistent with something. Okay, Jocko's doing that because it gives him more time. Where can I find more of my own time? And understanding that, like, I don't have to wake up at 4:30, man. Like, if that's not who I am, or it doesn't work, like, okay, but just find what does work for you. You know, but dude, you see people adopt that stuff, and then, yeah, dude, they're doing their fucking videos and telling you how to, like, attack your day. And, like, hey, bro, I'm not saying that you don't do that, because it appears that you do, but you've been doing it for a week. That's not leadership, dude. That's not, like, lead yourself for a long time with consistencies. And then, instead of trying to teach someone else's bullshit, teach what worked for you. Right? Because then all of a sudden you're the guy that's, like, waking up at 7:30 but tweaking your evening and then doing these things throughout your day that made you better. And guess what? You're going to speak to people that also helps. Because, like, oh, dude, this guy crushes it and he doesn't wake up at 4:30. He does this. Like, man, I'm more like that. Right? Like, you're now giving permission for people to then be open-minded. They're not just given this one option of what Jocko does. And, like, it's no disrespect to Jocko. Seems like a super good dude. But it's a great example of, like, people just adopting a certain behavior, like, or, like, you know, like, so that's his version of hard, or he's a hard dude. Like, well, what's that? What's a hard dude?
Man, to me,
you know, like, it's just, you see what I'm saying though? Like, we're taking it way beyond the framework to, like, if you don't act like Jocko, you're not hard. You know, or if you're not waking up at 4:30, you're not successful. And it's like, one, he's not trying to insinuate any of that. But the bottom line is, you just got to see things for what they are fundamentally. When I see Jocko waking up at 4:30, regardless of day or whatever, I'm watching Jocko's consistency. Other people might just see that that's the clock, so then they got to then do that. And it's like, well, like you say, you ain't shit. Hey, if you wake up at 9 a.m., 4:30 ain't happening for you. Maybe. Or maybe just waking up an hour early and then work your way into a 4:30 if it's necessary.
Well, I was going to say, like, for us, you know, how you mentioned, like, we make this look easy and stuff, right? Like, all perspective, because for us, like, the shit we do in a day and the amount of content that we do in the course of a week and just, like, our day-to-day would really fuck some people up. But to you and I, it's a normal day.
Yeah.
Like, if we have less than 8 appointments, it's like a light day. If we have, you know, like, less than all these videos and content to do, it's a light day.
Yeah.
But one of our normal days would fuck somebody up. For Jocko, bro, it's a normal goddamn day. That's what people miss out. Is like, man, but
they're too busy trying to, like, speak to having a day like that and leading versus just leading yourself and just documenting.
Just have a good day yourself.
Yeah, and, like, after action reports for you are so good, right? They're so powerful of just, like, hey, what's working, what's not working? Whatever's working, how can I triple down on that? Whatever's not working, how can I mitigate it or get rid of it? And running that after action report every day for yourself or every week for yourself of just, man, what's working, what's not working? Like,
man, that's been my favorite part. Will and I started the Best Self Journal. I can't remember who the head guy was that kind of started that, but bestself.co or something. Really good journal. And they have like habits that you set for yourself every month that you want to focus on, and then check boxes if you fucking did it that day or not. Yeah. And that thing has been so helpful, bro, because I have some things on there for like, okay, did I eat junk food today? So this is like junk food. Did I have sex today? Did I spend time with my son? Did I do this? Did I do this? And I'm going through and I'm like, man, it just fucking black and white, real apparent where I'm real consistent and real apparent where I'm not consistent.
Because you're just giving a visual representation of your pattern.
It takes 30 seconds to go through and fill that thing out. And man, I've learned more in the past 2 weeks of doing that. Things I kind of already knew, but I'm like just seeing the visual. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. And the bottom line is like just finding something that works for you. I'm still like, I struggle with journal stuff. Sometimes I find myself borderline less productive because I've got so many things written down or tasks. And then like, I get weird about taking the time to record the tasks, you know, versus like, man, I know what I got going on. I know what I'm focused on. And then the and it's also rooted in me. It's habitual because of the military. I'm very good with after action reports, man. What's working, what's not working. Whatever's working, how are we tripling down on that? Whatever's not working, how can we mitigate it or get rid of it? Right. So like one of them could be waking up early. Man, that's working. Triple down on that. Cool. Not as in like wake up even earlier, but just cool. Make that a constant.
Value it more. Yeah.
Hey, what's not working? Well, man, I'm like I'm intermittent fasting because that helps me cut calories, but then I'm not watching what I'm eating because I can get away with it. How can I mitigate that? Well, still intermittent fast, but prep your food. That's a mitigation. And even if that's not working, because then you're just choosing not to eat your prep food, maybe try something different, and you just get rid of that idea altogether. But like for me, sometimes, man, like the simplicity of things help me. And then I rotate an after action report. Like, but if I've got 12 or 14 things that I'm tracking and working on, it's muddy versus, hey, these 3 to 4 right here, man, those are important, but like I feel I need to address these first. Let me just stop putting cake in my fucking mouth, and then I'll worry about like what ab workouts I'm going to do at the end of my workout. You know, and then like as I'm getting through my after action reports, man, next quarter there might be something different. Now I'm tackling the other 4 things. Man, I really wish I could just be the journal guy, right? Because like everybody's the fucking journal guy, man.
No, I don't think so.
No, a lot of people are, man.
A lot of people
or
are,
they're fucking lying about it. Like, fuck, like readers. Don't get me fucking started on that. Everybody's a reader. But every time, dude, but then you ironically, you come across someone that like has read the same book you've read, and they're not applying fucking, what fucking edition? Did you read the one that forgot to get printed? Were there words in it? Because you're not applying anything.
Application is totally different.
Yeah, and then like everyone's just reading all the same books, you know, and like, dude, I'm reading Dan Bilzerian's book right now. Amazing Social Experiment. Shame on me for even carrying that book out of my suitcase. And people see Dan Bilzerian's name and face in my hand, like, oh, what are you reading that for? What are you going to learn from that? Why am I learning? What do you mean? Like, have you read Hitler's book? Why'd you read that? What are you trying to learn? You trying to kill fucking people? Or are you just curious? You know, but like, oh boy, people's fucking,
it's like wearing a MAGA
shit that they
hat
project. Dude, I just think I've heard Dan on interviews, and man, I think he tells the truth with the lot that he talks about with his life right now. And he's talked about mistakes and where he hasn't been so good. And like, I think he's, for the most part, honest from what I can tell. So I'm just curious, but like, take that out of it. Like, if you're reading a book right now that's not self-help, you might as well, you're chastised like you're unvaccinated. Okay. Like everything you're reading is like for the betterment and for this and for that. Like, oh, I read this book. Then I read this book. Like, did you, or are you just saying that because the people around you are book readers? And I'm not saying don't be a book reader. I'm not saying that they're not beneficial, but it's the same thing with like journaling, affirmations, you know, saying 10 nice things to yourself in the fucking mirror. Like, I do believe that those things work for people. I don't think they are for everybody, but you see a lot of duplication in there of people just adopting that as far as like they're not really executing on it, but they talk about that stuff because they think it's what they should be talking about because that's what's successful. But they're like, no, man, fuck that. Like if something doesn't work for me, but something else does, I'm just going to talk about what works. And I'm not going to shit on anything else that works for other people, but I'm also going to kind of like throw a red flag up because I think a lot of you motherfuckers that are like quote unquote readers, no, you're not. No, you're not. And a lot of you that like journal to yourself every day, or you write your affirmation. No, you're not. Or like you meditators out there, stop. No, you're not. You're not meditating.
Oh shit, you're
like you say you're meditating. It's fucking true, dude. But like because
hilarious.
It's like a thing.
So you're talking about the people that just like talk about meditating all the fucking time, but they don't.
But they talk like they do it. They talk like they do it.
And you don't think they do,
dude? I know people that say so many things to me, but then a year later, you're still in the same position. So
doesn't mean you're not doing the things. It means you're not letting me finish. Changing.
See how your insecurity is bleeding onto me? I know you meditate.
I don't actually. I don't.
I just think like let's stick with the books. Yeah. No, I don't think people read as many books as they say. Mm-hmm. No. And if a book doesn't, but I think like, oh, so-and-so read that book, so you got to read that book. And then you heard him talk about that book on the podcast. So when you talk about the book, it sounds like you kind of know about the book because you heard someone talk about it on a podcast. And you're just regurgitating. But no, I don't think you turned 500 pages.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. No. And like, dude, extreme ownership's one of them. And some books, I feel like they're encyclopedias. There's something you should go back and reference, not just cover to cover it. But yes, man, I think there are some staples that successful people have used to become successful. Mm-hmm. And I think people below that are lazy and won't actually do it. But if they talk like they do it, and get people to buy into their bullshit, they then become this like, they've got material to talk about now when it comes to being a coach or a leader, and then they can somehow like enhance their business.
I think the opposite in the sense of, I think people check the box. Like, I'm not saying the people you're talking about don't exist, but I think there's a lot of people that check the box to say that they did it, because that's it. You can listen to a 6-hour audiobook, no problem. You know what I mean? Like no problem, right?
But that's not reading.
Well, here's my point. Like, you can do that, no problem.
No,
you can say you read the book, no problem.
Disagreed.
It's not. It's hard to listen to an audiobook.
It's not hard, but I don't count it, and I also don't think you're retaining much of it, because if you got to do audio, and you're doing the audio because you're in traffic, because you're working out, you're not hearing that book.
Man, I retain so much better. I
disagree.
Than reading. For me. I don't retain shit that I read.
I retain audio, but if I'm going to listen to a book, I'm paused. I'm not working out. Me working out and counting reps and breathing heavy and staring at some chick's ass, I'm not retaining the audio.
If I'm driving, I can't do it working out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I'm reading a book, I'll be
what I'm saying
5 pages through, and then I'm like, I haven't fucking read anything. I was thinking about some other bullshit.
And you're right.
But here's what I was getting with it. I think
fundamentally, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off because I hate you right now. Go ahead. If you're going to do audio or read, that's fine. But fundamentally, sitting down and paying attention to whatever you're doing, if you're trying to retain something, is required. Whatever your form of learning is fine. But if you're doing the audio in lieu of, quote unquote, having the time, so it's during your workout and you're a CrossFitter, don't fucking talk to me about whatever book you read.
Or in the car.
Yeah, because it's like, no, you're gonna get some little key phrases and things, but like, hey, are you maximizing the time you're kind of giving to that versus like, could you listen to an audiobook and grab a cup of coffee and grab your notebook, because you're a note taker and notes are good for you. And even if you or you just like writing things down because it helps you retain while you listen, you've got your cup of coffee, and are you present with what you're trying to accomplish there? Or if like, well, hey, I read 19 books a month. I read 4 books a week, bro. Like, no, you don't, dude. And if you're doing that during the time that you're doing everything else, no, man, I question whether you're actually retaining all of that. And then I question you as a person that's trying to then tell people what they should be doing. I don't.
So here's where I was going with that. So I think that's actually the easy part. The 10 minutes of meditation, the reading your book or listening to your audiobook, I think that's the easy part. The hard part is applying the fucking shit. Taking the time to digest it and make sure you're actually focusing on that.
It's because you're a liar.
To turn it into your actual traits.
You don't get to say, listen, you're embellishing. If you have an audiobook and you listen to it while and I'm not saying you, I just mean in general, right? And you listen to that during your workout, and your workouts are intense and you're doing your thing. I've done that before. It doesn't work.
For you.
No. Scientists will literally tell you like you cannot multitask and retain shit that way.
Yeah.
Scientists.
No, I know you can't multitask.
Okay, like it's not like you're not game. So to be able to say you read that book, and it's like, man, you're embellishing. So it's like, oh, dude, I read 4 books a week. Well, let's break that down.
That's what
you're embellishing, because you're making a lie acceptable because, well, technically I hit play on this thing, and it played from page 1 to page 500 every day for a week and a half while I was working out. But like, you remember maybe a third of the book. Like, well, yeah, no wonder why it's so fucking hard to go apply it or take action.
Yeah, that's my point with all these.
But what I'm saying is, it's completely unacceptable. If you think it's acceptable, then tell people you read that book. No, I think you're embellishing.
Well, you're telling yourself you read that shit. You know what I mean?
I know, but then
that's the problem.
But then again, like, you're embellishing. Like, it's not accurate. It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do think there's popular things like, the fads that come in, right? Like,
all of it.
Even in bodybuilding, like when fucking intermittent fasting came around, or vegan, or whatever. Like,
Keto's
there's people that are really in it, but then there's people that are like, virtue signaling, man.
Oh yeah,
we make fun of vegans all the time. Not all the time, but like, society makes fun of vegans and like, but like, look, the bottom line is, man, there are some real vegans that decide to choose to live a certain way, and like, they're committed and they're doing it. And then cool, but then there's also people that virtue signal, and there's virtue signaling in the self-help leadership entrepreneur realm, because like, you're doing what other successful people say that they do, but you're not actually doing it. You're just saying that you're doing it to appear like you're one of them, and you're not. So you're just virtue signaling to try to like appear to be something that you're fucking not.
So common. That used to be low carb, low fat. Now with self-development space, all those same things have transferred over here.
And it's like, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And the caveat is, like Will said, he's not shitting on reading. He's not shitting on meditating. Those things are extremely beneficial.
But I read.
Right,
I read.
Right.
I open the book and I read it and I take notes.
Extremely beneficial.
And dude, there's times where like, if I'm reading something that's like not Dan Bilzerian, that's like a book for like just curiosity and
I like see your notes on that. Like, okay, 40
no,
girls.
yeah. Oh, hi, hun. Oh, thanks for cooking dinner. Hey, listen, got a
cocaine plus Viagra plus ecstasy equals 40 girls.
Yeah, dude. No, like but for me with self-help books, I don't go cover to cover. As I read, if something is like good or like it resonates with me and I write it down, there's a lot of times I'll put that book away for a week, man. Like I go apply whatever lesson that was until I feel like I've grasped that concept, and then I will move on into the book. I'm in no rush to finish the book to say I read 4 books a week. I'm in no rush.
No.
I'm in a rush to retain and execute what I think could work for me. So self-help stuff, that's how dude, there's self-help books right now, like I'm a quarter of the way through, but the quarter I'm through has done dividends for me compared to like, you could have read it 9 times and you still don't fucking get it because it's in your fucking earphones while you're doing your half-ass workout.
Yeah. You know, I'm on a reading hiatus right now. Like I'm intentionally not taking shit in. I did order I did order Dan's book, but like I feel like the past 10 years has
carry
been
that
so,
at the farmer's market.
It's been so information heavy that it's doing me a disservice to keep it going right now. And it's like, man, like when I'm driving and stuff, I'm intentionally trying to like not play music, like just fucking be in my car.
You got that from me.
I did. Yeah, it helps.
Yeah, you hear sometimes my truck is completely quiet. There's nothing. I don't need any noise going in any of my. But again, the self-awareness and just but then talking about that, the absence of knowledge or whatever you want to frame it up as can be extremely beneficial.
Lets you form your own shit.
Period. You know, but like we're going long-winded today, which is fine. It's ours. Hopefully, people are getting something from this. But like, yeah, man, like. Try things that people do. Yeah. You know, like if successful people meditate, give it a valiant effort. And if it works for you or you find a form of meditation that works for you, dude, that is so awesome. And if it doesn't, but then something else works for you, that's okay too. But talk your truth, man. And if I'm not doing something that my circle does and then I won't be accepted by my circle, I don't want that circle. That's not my circle, man.
Yeah.
My circle is around me because I'm a good dude, not because I go fucking do yoga with them, okay? And then you also got to understand that, like, hey, I'm not doubting that certain things are beneficial. I'm just doubting whether people are actually doing it because they've processed those thoughts versus they're just saying that they're doing it. You know, like, I doubt it.
We're doing it the right way, putting a real effort.
So no disrespect to journals, man. Like, hey, if you're a journaler, be a journaler. If you're not, don't. But it's like my vegetable analogy. You know, like when we have vegetables for our kids, right? Like Cash doesn't want to eat broccoli. Okay. But what are you going to eat?
Right.
Spinach? Green beans? What? Because you're eating something and the shit's going to be green. So what green would you like? But we're not just going to not eat broccoli. And I'm also not going to douse your broccoli in cheese. No.
Call it broccoli.
Same thing, right? Like you don't have to meditate, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. And I would say,
and you don't have to douse your meditation with distraction to call it meditation, like book reading, right? Like, hey, you're not going to read books. Okay, cool. What are you going to do? Right. And then however you learn, be that. But you're also not going to like say you read books, but douse it with car rides and workouts and everything else to then be able to say that you do it when it's not, that's not doing it. Like, hey, and you're not busy. Let me just leave this and I'll let Eli have the last word. You're not fucking busy. You're inefficient with your time.
It's good. Yeah. Yeah. And I would just say, try things in different phases. I've gone through so many phases in my life where it's like something just wasn't right for me. And I just thought it wasn't right for me. And then I accidentally or just whatever reason decide to come back and try something years down the road. And I'm like, oh, this is different.
Timing.
You know, like this is different. So
but if you're going to try it. Yeah. And if not, hey, that's okay too. Like, dude, there's things that you and I have talked about in business or something that would be cool, but it's like, man, it's just not the right time. Like we've got these things and we're committed to these things and this is the lane that we're in. And hey, when we can bite off more, we'll bite off more. Until then, hey, okay. But when you're out there doing it, you can speak when you're seeking your own improvement and you're thinking about your thoughts, like you can speak your truth, man. And it's not, you're not a carbon copy of some other bullshit.
That's the title right there.
Well, and dude, that's what makes shit bullshit. You want me to be a meditator, but everybody that I meet sucks at it? Because like you're clearly not like I'm being funny, right? But
yeah.
And if you just start looking into meditation, boy, are there different forms of meditation.
Completely different.
Yeah, and they're not all still. There's walking meditation. There's lying down meditation. There's seated meditation. What do you mean walking meditation? Yeah, and it ain't with your fucking eyes closed. You got to see where you're going. Like, but again, it's just getting rooted into like, oh, you're open to meditation. People have found benefit to it. Well, don't think that that's sitting down with your legs crossed, humming at your YouTube channel or whatever soundtrack you're listening to. True. No, there's different forms of meditating. And try them all if you'd like, but it's also like you might find a form of meditation that is not the same as what's been preached to you that really works. And then speaking your truth and talking about what you do and documenting what you do that in turn makes you successful. And that's just where I wish people would resonate with versus like, well, let me be in with the in crowd. Let me, they read books. I'll go to read books. Like, no. And definitely don't say you do it if you don't do it, but find out what you do. Eli, all insecure today. I was like tacking your audiobooks on.
No. I'm just, to me, that's like, it's one of those things. Like I think a lot of people do read books. They're just terrible at fucking.
I'm okay with audio.
Doing anything with them.
I'm not talking right. Yeah. I'm okay
reading or audio. People are terrible at just doing anything with it. Well, it's checking the fucking box.
But it's because it's like, hey, look, this is like two form, right? It's how do you learn? Okay. Audio, reading,
video, whatever.
However you learn. But then cool. Hey, I learned this way. Okay. So now we found the lane you learn in. But you also have to be present to then absorb your lane of learning. So if you're an audio person, dude, it's not that I don't listen to audiobooks sometimes. But if I'm in a place where I want to retain and learn, I pause. So whether I'm going to stop and read the book, I don't, like if you're doing an audiobook so you can do it while you're doing something else, I'm questioning it. I'm only questioning it because fucking scientists question it. And because I've done it and with integrity, I can tell you, no, man, I think I'm a pretty efficient dude. I've done a lot of dynamic shit, man, in like high stressful environments. I think my brain processes well. So if I'm struggling with it, it's like, oh, it must be like everybody else. Maybe other, and like, do I remember some things from audiobooks for my workout? Yes, I do. But dude, I got to go back and re-listen to chapters, man. Yeah. Because you'll be in a workout and 4 chapters will go by, but you'll remember 2 things.
That's me reading a book. I got
that's fine. But what I'm getting at is like, I'm not trying to shit on how people learn.
Yeah.
Identify with how you learn, but then understand when you go to learn, you've got to be present for your learning. So if you're audio, if you open the book, if you're visual, and I pause, and if you like listening to it in the gym, cool. But then just find a way to like, hey, this evening, this weekend, I'm going to go back. I'm going to sit down and relax and listen and be present for the book I'm listening to. That's my thing. It's not so much of like how you want to learn. It's that we're talking about learning now. So regardless of how you learn, are you learning or are you distracted? And when people are like, well, dude, I just suck at reading. When's the last time you wrote? How much do you write?
True.
And well, hey, I suck at reading. Like, when's the last time you read a chapter and then wrote your thoughts down?
Yeah.
You might be better at reading and comprehension than you think. That just hasn't been taught to you appropriately, and you also haven't done it for a while. And yes, the reason why I like reading is because you and I are extremely busy. It's very hard for me to, like, if I do audio, to pause. If I open a book, I'm not driving, I'm not working out. Actually reading, actually opening a book forces me to be present and to pause. Yeah. And then I grab my notebook. And if there's some things that resonate, I will write some things out. You know, like
that's the integration part. It reminds me of like psychedelics. Integration's a big thing in psychedelics, and like all the big ones, because the experience can be so distracting. You know, as to like what's going on and what's happening. You're thinking things and you're feeling things, but you're distracted because there's a lot of input happening. Yeah. So afterwards, like immediately afterwards, taking notes, doing fucking drawings, like talking to a recorder.
Yeah, and then like self-limiting thoughts.
Yeah.
Or like when I talk about like, hey, go try things that have made people successful, but give it a valiant effort. One, before you start being a fan of it. Two, before you give up on it. So like to combat your, you like that word? Deliberate. I'm arguing you right now. To combat your, dude, I'm just not a good reader. Man, I question that because you're extremely smart. And I would agree, you know, if you were to say, hey, you know what, like I have other forms, you know, that tend to be, that fall naturally for me with technology and things like that. But I also wonder, like, hey, if you sat down with a book and a fucking notebook and read one chapter, or you read 10 pages, and then you wrote a couple thoughts down on your 10 pages, hey, would you be more present? Would you be paused? And would you come to find out that you're actually not a bad reader and you comprehend super well, because pausing actually let you absorb it more, and then you writing it out at the end of that chapter, a couple bullet points. I wonder, and then you would go, and then here's what I meant. You're super manly in your Carhartt vest. You don't know where it came from, but you catch yourself at the end of a chapter writing, and you're in your Carhartt and you're whiskey, and you go, Will's amazing. He was so right. Will's belief in me.
I know, right?
It's like, God damn it. But that's what I mean, right? Because saying you're not a meditator. Have you tried it? Right. And if you try it, you don't get to try it once and it wasn't for you. Are you giving it a valiant effort before you give up on it? Are you also giving it a value effort before you're a cheerleader for it and saying that that's the thing for you versus finding your form? So I'm challenging Eli to pause and read and write a couple notes. I don't think it's that you're a bad reader. I don't think you want
I'm not a bad reader. I'll let myself get too distracted.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I was going to see how you interrupted me. You cut me off all the time.
To tell you my own thoughts. So weird.
I know. Fucker. I think the reading part is because you actually have to pause.
Yeah.
You aren't a pause. You're like, if I need to be doing something but it's versus like, hey, if you pause to retain what you're reading, and then you take that into the execution mode, like you'll realize how valuable that pause is versus like getting the watered down audiobook. And again,
100%.
Tell my friends out there, if you audiobook, I'm so okay with it. But if you're doing it during fucking rush hour traffic while you're yelling at people and during your workout, just don't come to me and tell me that you're reading 15 books a month, okay?
No shit.
Such bullshit.
I know, there needs to be like an asterisk by it or something.
And the fact that you even say that's like, why do you even feel like you have to say that to me?
Yeah, full disclosure, if ever I do tell somebody like, oh, I'm reading this or something, I'm like, well, actually, I'm listening to it. Like, I even feel guilty if I'm using the reading word versus listening.
Eli's backpedaling on our relationship.
No.
All these books I thought you read.
Oh, shit. No.
What else do you lie about, Eli?
It's all audio. Audio.
No, audio's cool, man. I'm getting long-winded on that.
I gotta tell you, though, if I had to, like, read about cryptocurrency or something, could never fucking happen.
That's where I feel video and audio, because they can give PowerPoints or, like graphical.
Different topics, like, are different.
Things that are outside of your scope. Like, I'm sure some people
like real technical, maybe. I think
some people that are like great at writing code, like, could probably listen to things. But if you're trying to expand your brain into something where like you're not so great at it, having visual examples of what they're talking about on the screen while listening,
even just seeing someone's, even if there's no visuals, just seeing someone explain it.
Well, man, and I'm glad you say that, because I'll tend to read a book and then that person will be on like podcasts and things. And I'll hear them elaborate on what's already in the book, and I feel like I get some good layers there. Either way, happy Friday, Eli.
Happy Friday. It's good.
We got shit to do. But
I know we got to go film some new videos.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Happy Friday. We'll see.
All right. Happy Friday, guys. Thanks for watching. Day 1.0 out.
Some long cut. I'ma slip it on down and turn it up. Southbound and we're trailblazing, yeah, but